What's up, people? Welcome back to Chris Chats Comics. My name is Chris Gonzalez, and I'm back again for another episode of Single Issue Saturdays, and this is the series where I recap and discuss some of the issues that I picked up the previous Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, and they could be physical issues, digital issues, and for this week I'm going over seven comics, all physical issues that I picked up, and yeah, we're going to start off with Marvel first, and there was a big release for Marvel this week. It was Iron Man issue number 1. This is their relaunch, and it's written by Joshua Williamson, and their art by Carmen Carnero, colors by Nolan Woodard, and the letters by Joe Caramagna. And I thought this was a really solid first issue of Iron Man. And again, added context, I've never read a solo Iron Man run yet. This is going to be my first foray into Iron Man comics, if you don't count the Iron Frost miniseries from the Age of Revelation event. But yeah, and Joshua Williamson, he's been, writing some pretty well-received comics over at DC with his Superman ongoing that's currently going on right now, and also he's doing well with G.I. Joe. So yeah, I was definitely excited jumping into this, and yeah, I could say it's a solid first issue, and the artwork's really done well by Carnero. And we start off with this person making armor in a cave. You think it's Tony, but no, it's actually AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, led by Madame Mask, and they've teamed up, and they're not trying to find the next Iron Man. She and AIM are trying to find the next Tony Stark, so they've been testing different scientists and trying to find the next genius, because Joshua Williamson, he's gone around in interviews saying that Tony Stark is the weapon, not the armor. So I like that idea going into the series. So they're definitely playing around with that in the first issue. And yeah, the artwork again, really dynamic by Carnero. I like the colors, and pretty cool. Tony, he faces off with one of his rogues named Blizzard. Joshua Williams' voice for Tony is definitely has characteristics of Robert Downey Jr. So if you like the Iron Man movies in the MCU, you'll definitely like this comic. And it's very, very similar to Robert Downey Jr.'s version or portrayal of Iron Man, and definitely got this issue 1 reminded me of certain scenes from the movies, like in Iron Man 2, where he shows up at the big reveal for that party that he was at in the beginning of the movie. This definitely had a similar vibe, and so yeah, I really appreciated it. And in the beginning, Madame Mask, she's ruthless on her mission. She killed that scientist, by the way, but yeah, really enjoyed. This was just a solid first issue. Again, Tony, his voice is very snarky, sarcastic, and kind of a playboy, and a show-off. So again, if you like the movies, you'll definitely like the comic. I just think it was written well. Nothing like astounding or groundbreaking, but it's just a solid superhero comic, and that's what Joshua Williams does well, and what he's been doing to DC. So I hope he can continue that streak with this new Iron Man title. And yeah, it was just a fun issue. So they're holding these awards. Tony has set up the Tony Stark Awards, and he's awarding it to a scientific mind that he thought that was worthy. They're doing pretty well. So this guy, he was nominated for the award. His name is Adam Ware, and he's a teacher. So he specializes in new educational technologies and just finding to share master classes with people who might not have access. And yeah, so Tony really admires his work, so that's why he was a prime candidate for this award. And then all of a sudden, AIM, they crash the party and they take Pepper Potts hostage, and Tony, he has to get into the armored suit. So I like these panels here showing the hover bike that he came into the event. It changes into his armor. It's a really cool double spread. The design's very similar to the movies. And again, I love the colors, and I just like how the colors elevate the artwork definitely. So Tony, he catches up to the AIM, and it ends up it's actually not the real Madame Mask. This whole thing was these are life model decoys, and it was a distraction because everybody who was in consideration to receive the Tony Stark Award all over the world, AIM has simultaneously kidnapped one of them. So again, they're trying to find the next genius level scientist who can go head to head with Tony and innovate in whatever plan they're trying to do. So I thought that was pretty cool. So Pepper Potts and his assistant, I think, or I'm not sure, it's not her, his assistant. She actually, there's a line where she says that I'm not your assistant, Tony, but she's working with Tony, and they're back at Tony's new workshop, which is at the old bunker that Bruce Banner did his gamma testing at. So they inform him of the scientists that AIM has kidnapped. So Tony, he's plotted a course to retrieve them all. Another cool image. Again, the artwork's really good. And he calls Cap, Steve Rogers, to tell him about it, and Tony wants to meet up with Cap, and Cap tells him to go to New York, and the issue ends with a cliffhanger where Cap, he's with Sue and Reed Richards, Captain Marvel. I'm not sure who this is. It looks like this is Norman, and why is Rhodey here? War Machine, I'm not sure why, but Cap says it's time, we got to take down Tony Stark. So what does that mean? I'm interested, and yeah, again, very solid first issue. I think based on the quality that Joshua Williamson has been, writing at over at DC and at Image, I think this is a start of a really good Iron Man run. So I'm looking forward to the next issue. So the next issue from Marvel, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna discuss the Spider-Man annual one shot, and the A story is written by Saladin Ahmed. The artist is Federico Vincentini, and the colorist is Chris Sotomayor. Letterer is Joe Caramagna. And the main story, it focuses on this speedster, or he can slow down time. Not really sure if he can just run fast or just slow down time, but the main story focuses on him. He's teaming up with Spidey, and he's just, asking Spider-Man for some advice of balancing the whole superhero life with his daily life, and Spidey's just giving him some pointers, and then they get interrupted by Screwball, and she sets off a bunch of, tests for them. She, her thing, she live streams her crime, so has these three scenarios that Rapid and Spider-Man have to prevent. So they do that, and Rapid, he's told Spider-Man that he's experiencing these headaches every time he uses his powers, and it can only last like a minute or two before he starts developing these headaches. So they try to diffuse whatever's going on with Screwball. So the first Screwball, she remote controlled this car, and they eventually stop it. And then the second challenge is that she installed these window cleaners and she turned them into freeze guns. And so they're freezing some civilians, and Rapid and Spidey, they try to disable the machines, and Rapid, he accidentally freezes Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is temporarily incapacitated. So it's up to Rapid to prevent or diffuse these explosives that are going on nearby, and Screwball still messing with them, and Rapid, he's still developing these headaches while it's happening, but he's got to push through to save everybody. And the artwork was cool. Story's not really that compelling, to be honest, because, you know, I'm not really sure how I feel about the Rapid character, but it was okay. And I just like how Rapid, he just discusses how, again, balancing the hero life with all that's going on with his daily life. He has a wife and his dad has cancer, so I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, they go ahead and they eventually stop Screwball, and the citizens, they help as well. But Screwball, she gets away, but Spidey ends up telling him, like, hey, in order to prevent the headaches, you need to get enough sleep, essentially, and take care of yourself. But that was basically it, and that's how it ended. So it was okay. And the B story is written by Joe Kelly, and the artist is by Roy Mercado, colorist is Chris Sotomayor, and the letterer is Joe Caramagna. So this is like set in between issue 20 and 21, I believe, of Joe Kelly's run on Amazing Spider-Man, and it's just a little side story of the Goblin Slayers and how, you know, they're preparing to take down Norman and all the affiliated goblins, and it was just okay. I wasn't really into it. The artwork was cool, but again, I'm really like, it's not that I'm souring on Joe Kelly's run on Amazing Spider-Man. I just want this current arc to move forward, and we're almost done. We're preparing for the Death Spiral crossover with Venom, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that was the annual. Really nothing special. It was okay. It was fine. So that was it for Marvel. Now let's move on to Image, and we got another number one issue and this time from Image, and this is Malevolent, and this is issue 1, and it's written by Justin Jordan, arts by John Bivens, the colors are by Felipe Sobrio, and the letters are by Crank. And the premise sounded interesting to me. Demons have breached the world, and they have this police force that they have to put wards and spells all over their equipment to, you know, protect them from certain demons. And the demons, they affect electronic devices, so whenever the police force has to deal with these demons, they have to have no electronics on them. So I thought that was cool. So it starts off, we're at this apartment complex, and this random guy summons a demon, and there's just narration from this doctor about just giving the rules of the world and the lore. And the first couple of pages were really exposition heavy. So, I mean, I get it, you have to establish like what's going on, but for me, it was just a little too wordy, and it was not that it was boring. It was just, for me personally, it was just a lot of telling and not showing. But so it's just this doctor going over what's going on in the world, what they have to do in order to trap and contain these demons, and they're called Mauls. Demons are called Mauls. And so this police force, they approach this apartment building, and again, they have all these wards and spells on their equipment protecting them. And I thought the artwork was cool. Not the greatest, not the most compelling artwork, but it was okay. So this police force, they just go through this building, and they come across the demon, and the artwork, and when the demon is revealed, let's see, here's some of the artwork again. I've never oh, and also for context, this is the first comic by Justin Jordan that I've read, and I'm not too familiar with the artist, but it was okay. Again, they're just going through this apartment trying to find the demon, and then it's revealed that they have unleashed this woman. Her name is Morgan, and she's actually half human and half Mall, and she has been deployed to assist the force, and she's gonna hunt the demons as well. So again, artwork was okay, and Justin Jordan, he did a pretty good job of building suspense, so I give him props for that. And then the demon that they're hunting in this apartment, it attacks them and starts eating some of the members of the force. And the artwork, I mean, when the demon's revealed, it was a little hard to tell like what exactly the demon looked like. So that was kind of a critique that I had. But again, Morgan, she's unleashed and she's fighting the demon. So overall, the story was just okay. They eventually, the police force, of course, they're not sure what to make of Morgan. Her personality is very childlike. And then the doctor, towards the end of the issue, discusses like that she's a new member of the team, and they're going to be going on these missions with her, and they end up, defeating the demon. Well, she ends up defeating the demon by, I guess, getting to the core of the demon and eating it. So that's how they resolved the issue. So let me see. So yeah, creepy imagery. So yeah, she eats whatever this is. She eats it, and then that was pretty much it. So yeah, it was a solid first issue. It was just okay. To be honest, what I'm currently feeling on that, I think I would wait for a trade or just to see how the reception is before I continue collecting it in single issues. So we'll see, but that's how I felt with Malevolent issue number 1. And then next title from Image is Lost Fantasy, and this is issue 7. Again, written by Kurt Pyers and co-written by Franklin Jonas, and the arts by Luca Casalanguida. Mark Dale's on the colors, Micah Myers on the letters. And so yeah, it just goes, our main protagonist is Henry Blackheart. He's searching for his father. His father was abducted by this assassin that infiltrated their home in Castle Blackheart. So Henry, he's gotten a lead to this particular area called the Drifts, and so he's just looking for this assassin. And I've been really enjoying this series. This is one of my favorite new series that debuted last year. Again, I had to get the video game homage cover. But yeah, so throughout, again, Henry's just questioning this. I'm not sure if they're at a hotel or where. He's questioning this guy about the whereabouts of the assassin, and the guy gives him a note telling him where to go. So just follow Henry throughout this issue as he, tries to find this guy. And again, the art by Casalanguida is really good. Really like the coloring and the details. And also this issue goes back and forth and develops Nihilus's and Henry's backstory, like when Nihilus was first brought into Castle Blackheart. Just goes back and forth between how their relationship first develops, which I thought was cool. And it seems like Henry was at first a little jealous of Nihilus, but they've grown to, respect one another and work together. So, and it cuts back to the present. Henry, he comes up against a Wendigo and fights him, and I like the coloring right here by Mark Dale. And again, this really like the action sequences in this comic. They're really drawn well. So again, cutting back and forth between the past and the present. And in the present, Henry, he's fighting this Wendigo. And then he eventually defeats him and starts to eat him. So, like the artwork here. Colors are very vibrant. And yeah, so it's just going over, like, they're partying right here. And we got that one girl from the earlier issues that bounty hunter. So, get a little insight on their relationship. And eventually Henry comes across Elu, that bounty hunter who was with that one girl. And for some random reason, he's in the middle of this blizzard. Like, what's this guy doing by himself? So he's like, hey, Blackheart. And then Henry's like, we got unfinished business. I'll deal with you later. So anyway, back in the past, they have to deal with these mystical creatures in this city that's being flooded, and they figure out it's due to this like wizard who unleashed these demons. And so Henry, he comes across this guy and he just thinks he's crazy, but the guy is just telling him like, hey, there's truth that you don't know about. Do you really want to know where you come from? And Henry, he's pretty much like, what are you talking about? And the old man tells Henry like what's he say? He tells Henry that the hunters consolidate their power with one another, and like he's trying to bait Henry to, information that he's not aware of. And Henry, before he can get any further details from him, Nihilus comes in and kills this guy. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. So again, there's hinting at Henry. His backstory is not all as it seems. Is he really Cyrus's son, or what's going on with Henry's backstory? So Henry, he actually confronts Silas about it, but Silas just tells him like, hey, that old man was crazy. You shouldn't listen to him. And Henry doesn't believe his father, and Henry's just like, well, fuck this, and he leaves. And then cut back to the present, he finally meets with that assassin, and the assassin calls him brother. So are they related? So we'll see. And then I like how this issue, it calls back to issue 1, where when we first meet Henry, he's all looked like he's drugged out somewhere he's dealing with some type of, you could tell he was at a party or on a bender. So this calls back to issue 1, where you actually get to see Henry go on that bender right before you meet him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then it ends with them fighting. So next issue, we'll see the fight against Henry and this assassin, and maybe we'll get some more reveals about Henry's true backstory and where he actually comes from. We'll see. And then also it ends with Cyrus. He wakes up and we got this familiar dragon, mystical dragon, wake him up, and they're gonna have a confrontation. So definitely really enjoying this series. The action sequences are drawn really well. It's like a police procedural mixed with fantasy action. So I really am digging Lost Fantasy. That was issue 7. Highly recommend that. And I will continue to grab the video game homage covers. All right, and let's go ahead and now let's get into, this is the only pickup from Oni Press, but that's Spirit of the Shadows. And this is another issue number 1. And I really, really enjoyed this series. It's co-written by Daniel Ziegler and Nick Cagnetti. Nick Cagnetti also does the art and colors. So the artwork right off the bat reminded me of a mixture of Mike Allred and Jack Kirby. Really psychedelic artwork, and I really enjoyed the colors, and they're very vibrant. And it starts with this guy His name is Eric LaRoe, and he's with this woman named Katrina. I believe Katrina is her name. So they're in love, and then he wakes up in a magical, or he gets dragged down into the spirit realm, and he's wrapped up in this costume. He's not sure what's going on, and he comes across, I guess, this demon or this creature, and this creature tells him that, yeah, you've been pulled to the spirit realm. And Eric's like, oh, I just want to get back to Katrina. And so, again, colors very vibrant. Again, really got a sense of the Jack Kirby influence here. And so pretty much this guy, he has to go through the spirit realm, and the demon provides him with a book of apparently his life. So in order to go back to the sacred realm, which is Earth, or back to life, he has to read the book, and it has to be decided that he lived a moral and good life. But Eric, he doesn't have any memories in the spirit realm, so he has to read the book. And then we cut to this guy, this doctor. His name is Hyde Perkins, and there's like this wanted sign with Hyde's face on it. So we're not, what's going on with this doctor, and what are his ties with Eric? So it cuts back and forth, but again, really digging the artwork and the colors, very psychedelic. And so Eric, he starts reading the book, and it goes, flashes back. He was a fiddler, and he met this woman, and this is how he first meets Katrina. And Katrina's father is the mayor of Terramere is called the town, and his name is Lord Albert Laimel. And I liked how during the flashbacks it looks like it's colored like with colored pencils, so I really dug that. And then eventually some like monster tears up the book and snatches it up from Eric, and it runs away from him and tearing all the pages. So Eric, in order, you have to go through this judgment, and in order to go through the judgment, you have to read the book. But since he doesn't have the book, he can't remember his life. So he's on a mission now to retrieve the pages and put it back together. So he's just going through the spirit realm, and again, really am digging the colors, very psychedelic. The pacing was really fast and dynamic and fun, so it was a quick read. And then again, we meet back up with Dr. Perkins, and someone visits him, and it's this elderly woman, and he takes her in and offers her help, and she's just asking, and we'll get to what she asked for later, but again, really cool artwork. And since he was a musician, he played the violin when he was alive, so he kind of uses that and conjures it as a weapon to defeat these like monsters. And then he comes across this woman. He saves this woman named Erica. I believe her name is Erica. No, Elizabeth. Her name is Elizabeth. So he meets with this woman, Elizabeth, and she's just like him. She was put in the spirit realm, but she had lost her book as well. So she's offers her help to assist Eric in putting back his book together. So they go on the journey, and she reveals that the longer they stay in the spirit realm, that they'll turn into the monster. So she's already starting to turn. And then, but we cut back to Dr. Perkins' house with this woman, and this woman, she reveals herself to be a witch, and she's actually looking for her sister who was killed, and apparently by Eric, and she's looking for revenge. So I thought that, so what did Eric do? When he was alive, was he a good dude, or did he actually kill this woman? So he picks up more of his pages, and it looks like Eric and Dr. Perkins were working together, and they were not up to good things. I don't know what they were doing. It's not completely revealed yet, but they're kind of making looks like they're doing this Frankenstein procedure on these women, and one of them happens to be Elizabeth. It's revealed that Elizabeth was killed by Eric, so Eric can't believe it. So very solid issue. I think this might be my favorite issue of the week. We'll have to decide, but I'm not sure how many issues this is going to be, but it might be just 5, but it's from Oni Press again. Really recommends this series, so if you haven't picked it up, definitely recommend Spirit of the Shadows. That was issue 1. Really solid. Definitely a contender for my favorite issue of the week. And now let's get into DC. And we got Green Lantern, and this is issue 31. Again, written by Jeremy Adams. This issue the artist is Montos. The colorist is Romulo Fajardo Jr. Letterer is Dave Sharp. And so just like the past couple of issues, they're kind of been standalone one-shots where Hal Jordan, he teams up with one of his friends, superhero friends. Last issue was Batman. The issue before that was Green Arrow. This issue is going to be Barry Allen. And yeah, so at the end of the last issue, Barry has sent out a distress signal. He was in trouble to Hal Jordan. So this issue follows that up immediately. So it begins with Hal's in a fight with somebody, we don't know who, but then it jumps back a couple hours earlier. Barry Allen, he's in the back of the cop car, and he came across some evidence that will put away this crime boss. So they're taking him to the courthouse so he can testify, and it's revealed that these are dirty cops, so they're under the crime boss's payroll. So Barry, he catches wind to that, and he escapes the car and starts running away from these crooked cops. So Hal Jordan, he's flying to Central City looking to find Barry, and he eventually does come across Barry, and he incapacitates the dirty cops. So I'm digging there are more crime thriller aspects or story elements implemented into the issue, and I really appreciated that. And Montos's artwork definitely showcased that gritty tone that Jeremy Adams was trying to tell in this story. So Hal Jordan, he's trying to get Barry to the courthouse, and we jump to the crime boss, and he's telling his minions to call this guy Bruto. And so first, Hal, he and Barry they're outside of Barry's apartment. Barry tells Hal that he needs to retrieve some evidence in Barry's apartment, this lamp. And they also have a conversation about the visions that Hal is having, from the Book of Oa. And Barry essentially tells him that based on what Batman found in the previous issue, that could have to deal with time and maybe a future version of Hal sent over those messages or those visions to Hal. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then while Hal is obtaining the evidence from Harry's apartment, he gets attacked by Bruto, this big dude. He kind of reminded me of Mr. Fix-It, the version of Hulk, like Hulk in a suit. So he kind of looked like that. I got that vibe from his design. So they all brawl, and for some reason Barry doesn't have his powers. So let me know in the comments, because I'm not caught up on when Barry lost his powers, but he doesn't have his powers. So eventually, in order to get Barry to the courthouse, Hal has to put Barry in a construct. And I thought this was pretty cool that Hal essentially put Barry into a construct to essentially help produce super speed. It's not exactly his super speed, but I thought that was pretty cool. And then eventually Barry gets to the courthouse and testifies against the crime boss, and the crime boss is given time in jail, and Hal tells Bruto, like, hey, like, your guy's already in jail, like, we can stop fighting. And Bruto's like, okay, but this isn't over until next time. So the fight kind of ended, you know, it was, the end of the fight was anticlimactic, and it ended pretty abruptly, but that was pretty much it. So we'll see. Kyle Rayner is going to be taking over. He's not going to be the main Green. Well, the main story will be focused on Kyle starting from issue 33. So we'll see how Hal deals with these visions that he's having, and if it has to deal with a future version of himself, or if Krona sent these visions. So Krona's still out there. We still have to resolve that issue. So all in all, another solid issue of Green Lantern. And again, I'm really digging Jerry B. Adams' run, and I highly recommend it. Very fun issue. In the last issue I'm going to be going over and recapping is Absolute Batman, and this is issue number 16. This is part 2 of the first crossover between Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman. First part was the issue 15 of Absolute Wonder Woman, and I really dug it. And this was another solid issue. Again, Absolute Batman continues on its hot streak of just quality, and it's just a fun comic. And Scott Snyder wrote it, and Nick Dragotta is back on the artwork. Frank Martin on colors, and Clayton Cowles on the letters. And it's also credited that Nick Dragotta, he had some writing credits on this as well. So the issue starts with Bruce. They're dealing with the aftermath of the Bane fights and cleaning up this old stadium that they were at. And later, Bruce, he visits Harvey Dent in Oz, and just having this conversation, and his friends are mad at him for Bane like really fucked them up, and they're still upset with Bruce. So definitely foreshadowing potential issues, and are they gonna fight each other? We'll see. But this moment was pretty emotional. Again, it built from what was going on in the previous arc, so I really appreciated that. And again, Nick Dragotta's art was really good. I'm liking how we got hints of Two-Face, and his one part of his face is blue and his hair is white, so I'm digging that aesthetic for Blueface, or for Blueface, for Two-Face. And then so Bruce is obviously feeling guilt for what happened to his friends, so he wants to help out and help turn Wayland back into a human. So he goes to this museum, and he uses this talisman that Diana gave him in Absolute Wonder Woman, the previous issue, and he uses it to summon her at this museum. And so he asks her, like, hey, like, is there any artifacts that will be able to help me in this museum to turn Wayland back into a human? She tells him, like, hey, no, there's no artifact, but we have to go to this realm that's between the underworld and the normal Earth, and they're essentially on this journey to fight this centaur that has this artifact that could potentially change Wayland back. I really enjoyed the humor in this issue. There was a lot of humorous moments in this issue, and I really appreciated it. And while this is a part 2 of the crossover, it really works well as a standalone issue as well. So if you didn't read the Absolute Wonder Woman issue, you wouldn't miss that much. You would just have more context on how Bruce obtained the talisman. But so yeah, they're on this journey, and then I liked another humorous part where Alfred, he's feeding Wayland's, and he's basically telling him, like, hey man, don't eat me. So really thought that was a pretty funny part. And so yeah, and then eventually Bruce has this vision. He's a kid again, and he has this really emotional conversation with his father, and I just thought it was done really well. The writing here was, again, very emotional, and calls back to the first arc where Bruce, when he was a kid, built this makeshift bridge out of paper, and I really thought that was pretty cool. Really dug that callback. And eventually they meet up with the Centaur. His name is Acrolis. I probably butchered that pronunciation, but they fight, and again, still has the humor in the dialogue, because the Centaur, he was like saying that they're in a relationship, and Diana's like, we're not together. But I really thought the artwork really cool here. So they fight, and again, the artwork, action really done well. And then Pegasus eventually comes by and saves the Batman after, this was because Batman, he had punched the Centaur, and he thinks the Centaur is down and out, but Diana says, Bruce, never stand behind a Centaur, and he's like, what? And he gets kicked off the bridge, but then Pegasus saves Bruce, and just another badass image. Look at that, just on I think this is like one of my favorite panels. But yeah, so they fight and they defeat the Centaur, and Bruce, he had gotten like hit by one of the Centaur's arrows, and it's revealed that the actual arrow is the artifact that they've been looking for. So he gives it over to Waylon. He leaves it for Waylon, and he leaves a note for Waylon. He's like, hey, wear this necklace and let it touch your skin. So that's where the issue ends, and we'll see if that actually turns Waylon back into a human. So another great issue of Absolute Batman. Again, this series continues to be one of the best ongoings currently, and I definitely recommend anyone who hasn't read that. The first trade is already out, and the second trade is going to be out pretty soon. So definitely, if you haven't read it, you can catch up and start getting the singles, because it's one of the best comic series out right now. So that was it. Those were all the issues that I wanted to discuss this week. So thank you for watching the video. Like it if you can. Subscribe to the channel. I'm working towards getting 1,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And yeah, just let me know if you read any of these books in the comments below, and let me know what's on your pull list. And yeah, that was it. So thank you again. And my name is Chris Gonzalez. This is Chris Chats Comics, and I'm out. Peace.